So at this point, if you don't believe in the Nintendo Switch 2 or that Nintendo is working on their next generation system, I don't really know what to tell you because it seems like every day now something new comes out, and today we've actually got something official from video game developers that are basically admitting that they've been working on the Nintendo Switch 2, and it's a really interesting kind of thing to think about because a lot of this wasn't even necessary for those developers to say, but it is coming out now, so there's definitely a discussion to be had. Alright, so here we are on Video Games Chronicle, where this article just came out, and it says here, 8% of developers in a GDC survey say that they're working on Nintendo's next console, and 32% said the Switch's successor is the platform that most interests them. And so this article is really kind of interesting because if we take a look down here, it says 8% of developers questioned in a new industry survey have said that they're working on games for Nintendo's next console. The newly published 2024 GDC State of the Game Industry Survey asked over 3,000 game developers across indie and AAA studios questions about their work, including which platforms they're currently creating games for. For the first time, nearly 250 people said that they're working on titles planned for the Nintendo Switch successor. Separately, 32% of the developers surveyed said Nintendo's next console most interested them right now, behind only PlayStation 5, which was 41%, and PC, which was 62%. It's worth noting that since the Nintendo Switch successor is yet to be officially announced, those working on games will be doing so under strict secrecy, so it's possible that more of the 3,000 surveyed are working on Switch 2 games but chose not to disclose this even anonymously. And so here is kind of like the actual graph here where it says here, which platforms are you developing your current project for? Choose all that apply. And we can see here for PC it has 66%, so way more than like 2/3 of all of the developers that were surveyed out of the 3,000. Then we've got 35% saying PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X has 34%, Android has 24%, iOS has 23%, Nintendo Switch has 18%, Xbox One or Xbox One X has 18%, PlayStation 4 or PS4 Pro has 16%, Mac has 16%, VR has 10%, web browsers have 10%, but then it gets interesting right here where it says the Nintendo Switch successor has 8%. Like, that's crazy that they were willing to just straight up say like, yeah, the next system after the Nintendo Switch, like, yeah, we're pretty interested on that and we're working on it with our current project. Like, that's crazy. And then we've got like just Linux and cloud and tabletop stuff and other stuff down here. And then it just says here, although the company is yet to comment publicly, Nintendo's Switch successor is widely expected to launch this year, and Nintendo shares hit a record high earlier this month, partly due to the anticipation for its next console. VGC reported last summer that development kits for Switch 2 were in the hands of key partner studios with a launch expected in 2024. And I mean, this makes a lot of sense. Like, we don't know here exactly which type of developers were surveyed. Like, they said here AAA, and they also said here indie ones. So I'm assuming like some indie ones are probably not going to be having development kits here for the next Nintendo system or the Switch 2 or anything. But in terms of big AAA ones, like, I would be very shocked right now if game companies like Capcom or Square Enix or Koei Tecmo, like if ones like that don't have a Switch 2 dev kit by now. They definitely do. Obviously they're not allowed to talk about it because they're probably under NDA and have signed a lot of contracts to be making sure that everything is like very top secret and they're not talking about anything that they're working on. But I'm sure like if they want to have games ready by the time the Switch 2 is coming out, and just having games that they want to even show when Nintendo officially shows off the system too, if they want to appear in terms of like trailers and just show other games that they're working on, they definitely need to have a dev kit ahead of time. So I'm sure that they do have them. Like, that's not really too hard to believe. And then the last thing that it just says here is Dr. Serkan Todo, CEO of the Tokyo-based game industry consultancy Kantan Games, recently predicted that the new console could launch at $400, which would be $100 than the price that the Switch launched at, and that there's a chance that its games could adopt the $70 pricing of PS5 and Xbox Series X. According to the industry consultant, Nintendo's next console will again have the portable functionality, as VGC reported last year. And like the article mentions, the true statistics for this in terms of how many developers are actually working on Switch 2 games and also how many developers are interested in the platform, it's probably even higher than this, as even though this was an anonymous survey, there were probably some developers who knew that they were working on Switch 2 games and that they are looking forward to the Switch 2, but still were kind of hesitant on actually talking about it in the survey, because just in case, like if Nintendo somehow found out that they participated in the survey and they said this and that they like broke their NDA somehow or something, that they could get in trouble. So maybe some of them were just like, you know what, better safe than sorry, instead of actually talking about the Switch 2. So I'm just going to pretend like I don't know anything about it, even in the survey. But really the most important thing from this is how this was an anonymous survey that went out to 3,000 developers, and there were still 250 of them that were willing to admit that they were working on games for the next Nintendo system or the Switch 2. And the thing about that is, like, do you really think that these people are lying about that? Because I don't think so. Like, there's nothing to gain here. We don't know which developers participated in the survey, so it's not like if we knew that Capcom developers said this or something, that Capcom is going to be getting a lot of publicity right now and a lot of people are going to be super interested in them. We don't know any of the developers that participated in the survey, and so even anonymously, there were 250 people that were still willing to say, like, yeah, I'm working on games for the next generation Nintendo system, I'm interested in the Switch 2, even anonymously, knowing that they're not gaining anything out of this. And so if you're one of those Switch 2 deniers who's always in the comment sections talking about how the Switch 2 doesn't exist and it's not real, and how Nintendo would have talked about it by now if it was a thing, so stop talking about it and stop making videos about it, it's not coming till 2027, then what do you have to say about this? Because this is definitely something that I feel like is not something that a lot of game developers just gathered together and said like, oh, let's just pretend like we have the Switch 2, we're gonna make a big scheme and we're gonna get so many clicks out of this, because there's nothing to gain from this. Nobody is gaining from this, none of the developers are gaining anything from this. It was an anonymous survey, and there were still 250 people that were straight up willing to say like, yeah, we have the next generation Nintendo system and we've been working on games for it. And so if 250 developers, hypothetically even more because there's probably some that didn't want to talk about it, are really working on Nintendo Switch 2 games, then it really means that the Nintendo Switch 2 is definitely just around the corner, and we should be seeing it very soon, especially if these dev kits, like the articles were saying, were handed out last year, and even before it, they've definitely been having some time to really work on these games for the next generation platform. And so yeah, I do feel like we're just about a month or so, or a few months I would say, away from the announcement and actually seeing what this system is going to look like. So some very exciting times are just around the corner, and it's going to be amazing to see when Nintendo does finally talk about this next generation system. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel, as well as I'm definitely going to have some more videos talking about Nintendo's next generation system as the information comes out. So definitely be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Comment down below and let me know what you guys think about all of this. How do you guys feel about these 250 developers just straight up saying that they're working on the Nintendo Switch 2? Do you guys think that they're lying? Do you guys think that they're actually working on games? What do you guys think about everything? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. But if you don't have anything to say about this, just comment your favorite emoji down below for some engagement. I would really appreciate it. Go follow me on Twitter at @ActualAero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.